Chapter 10. A calm, cool swim. The lake was large, but not intimidatingly so. The knights floated, treaded water, and bobbed along contentedly. Mel had cleaned the weapons and armor and set them in the sun to dry. She now paged through Merlin's book. The knights, enjoying the quiet ripple of the lake, were silent. "This reminds me of a pool near my home," said Hector, finally. "I go there sometimes with my falcon." "You're a falconer?" asked Bors. "So am I." "Now, a falcon is a predator I can get behind," said Eric, floating on his back. "Their skill in hunting is quite admirable," said Magdalena. "Strong claws," said Bors, "could crush a man's hand. Well, not mine, of course." "They do have their whimsical side, too," Hector chuckled. "They like shiny objects, just like ravens." The conversation drifted into a pleasant silence. "This is rather nice, fellow knights," said Eric. "Dare I say, peaceful?"
No, not peaceful. No.
Splash! The lake erupted beneath them as an enormous serpent broke the surface. Its neck was long, its fins were massive, its teeth were sharp. Life could certainly be unfair to the knights. The serpent dived for Eric. Its neck swooped up before plunging down, teeth shining, but then it stopped in mid-attack. Bors was holding it by the neck. The creature thrashed frantically. Its tail knocked Hector into the air, splashing him down a few yards away. He took a deep breath and swam underwater toward the belly of the beast. The serpent reached back for Bors with its deadly jaws. But the Black Knight burst out of the water beside it and grabbed its head. Hector wrapped his arms around one flipper so it couldn't swim. Eric climbed onto its back and pounded away with his fists. The knights fought as one. There was no need for instruction. None swam to safety. The serpent writhed in fury, knocking Bors, Hector, and Eric off. But the Black Knight held tight, her grip like a steel vice, her focus singular and unshakable. The creature rolled. It leaped, it splashed, but nothing could shake the great knight. Mel watched anxiously from shore. Her mind raced. The weapons were too heavy for aquatic combat. Besides, she'd never be able to throw a sword that far. But... Mel grabbed a rock the size of her head. At that very moment, the Black Knight looked up. Holding the serpent's neck with one arm, Magdalena lifted her other hand high. Mel launched the rock with all of her might. It sailed straight to Magdalena's hand, and in one smooth movement, she brought it down on the serpent's head. The creature ceased to struggle instantly and sank below the surface, down to the depths. The knights bobbed in the water, looking at one another. They all nodded. It meant, "Nice work." They began to swim to the shore. Mel stood by the armor and weapons sack. The sun crept out from behind a cloud. The armor glistened brightly. And that was when they heard the flapping sound. 4 gigantic flying lizards descended toward the shore in a flash. The knights swam faster, but it was no use. They watched helplessly as the flying creatures snatched the armor from the ground. "Shiny objects," sputtered Hector. The flying lizards squawked and screeched. More came, each stealing away with the armor, the shields, the swords, the sack of weapons. And Mel. She struggled in the grip of the talons as she was carried up and away into the sky. The knights reached shore and watched the flying lizards escape with everything except Merlin's book. No one spoke. Then Bors grabbed a large rock, gripping it in his massive fist until his knuckles were white. He started up the hill. "Be he lad or lass," Bors growled, "no one steals my squire."